Now that we have B-M0's body done, let's start working on his legs and his arms. So again, B-M0 being a super simple shape, we're going to start with his legs. What we'll do is I'm going to go into my front view. Let me just zoom in a little bit. And we're going to focus on one leg. I usually prefer doing the left side of the body, so even though this is the right side on my screen, it's his left leg, his left arm, and so on and so forth. So we're going to focus on his left side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Create, Polygon Primitives, and I'm going to create a cylinder. I'm also going to go to my inputs, and I'm going to change the subdivision axis from 20 to, let's go with 8. That should be more than enough for a B-M0 for now, at least. So we'll go, I'm just going to bring his leg down over here. I'm just going to scale it so it's roughly the thickness of his leg. Move it into the right spot. So we do have a bit of a problem with his legs where they're not positioned the correct way. So if we look at it from the side, one leg is kind of standing and the other one's kind of going out as a kick. So his left leg's kicking. So what we're going to do is we'll probably go and shape it to his right leg, but have it as both legs. So we'll just be doing a regular stand. And then something with a kick like this later, we could adjust it if we really wanted to. So what I'll do is I'll kind of go in and I'm going to select the top faces of his leg and the bottom faces. So let's start with the bottom just because it'll be easier to see. So I'm just going to zoom in. So the way I'm zooming in is I'm just selecting something and pressing F. That's going to focus in on whatever you're working on. So in this case, let's just select these top faces. So I'm just holding Shift, selecting the faces. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an extrusion. So I'm just going to hit Command E or Control E, bring it up just like that. And we're going to bring it roughly to where the leg is going to attach to the body. If there's a little gap there, that's fine. We're going to fix that later on. I'm then going to do the same thing to the bottom part of his body. So we'll just go, grab those, and we're going to bring those down a bit. So I'm just going to do another extrusion, bring them on down to roughly here. That looks pretty good. So if I look at my side view, we're in pretty good shape. What I'm going to end up doing is I'm now going to go into vertex mode and start shaping the leg. So what I'll do is I'm going to go move this one over here. And all I'm doing is I'm selecting a series of these vertices and then just kind of moving them into place. So those are going to go right there. These are going to go for the bottom of his foot. So we're just going to put those a little higher there. So again, I'm modeling him to his right leg, even though this is going to be his left leg. So I'm just bringing those over there. And I'm going to leave a little bit of room right here for his toe and a little bit for this back foot. So for his toe, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to select, let me just get a good look so you can see the picture. I'm going to select these front faces right here. And I'm actually going to create an extrusion out of those to kind of build that toe for me. So I'm just going to go back into my side view. I'm going to do an extrusion. I'm going to click on this icon right here to center the extrusion to the world. Going to rotate it. Actually, I'm not going to rotate it. I'll leave it like that. And I'm going to use the vertex mode to really start shaping out. So I'm just doing drag selections and moving these vertices as best as I can to kind of shape out that foot. And at this point, we can actually do that with the rest of his foot, just like so. And all I'm doing is kind of moving these vertices around to kind of give me at least a little bit of a rough shape of his foot. So if I look at it right there, that looks pretty good. I might select these vertices right here and use the scale tool and just kind of bring them inwards a little bit. And then I'll take these right here and scale them out a bit. I'm just going to kind of taper it off a little bit better. So that looks pretty good. Let's see how it looks rounded out. So I'm going to round this out by just smoothing it out briefly. Yeah, it looks like a pretty good foot for me. Yeah, I like it. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually duplicate this foot, because if I want to have one leg done and if I already modeled it to this leg, I'm going to want to have this one set up for the other leg. So I'm going to just take this leg right here. I'm going to move it off to the side for now. And I'm going to then redo all this part and then just kind of move these vertices around correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this leg, I'm going to rotate it so the foot matches up again, just like that. And now I could kind of resize this and figure out how I want to attach it. So in this case, a good portion of his leg is matching up nicely. So let me just zoom in a bit. Just like that. I'm going to take these vertices, I'll rotate them a bit, kind of bring them out over here. And we're going to ignore this portion of his body right now, or of his leg. The reason why I'm doing that is because that's going to be built a little bit later on. I'm just kind of using this area to fill out parts of his foot. That looks good. Go like that. And we don't really need to build this part. Let's see, do we? Yeah, we might as well. So I'm going to go to Mesh Tools, insert an edge loop. I'm going to put an edge loop right there, and that's just going to give me a little bit extra geometry for this back foot right here. Just kind of give that little roundness. I'm probably going to do the same to this foot as well, because I do want to work on things symmetrically. So I'm just going to eyeball this part and just use that as a moment to kind of give that bit roundness. There we go. So now we've got 2 feet done. What I'll end up doing is I'm going to put this back to where it was before, right around there. And that looks pretty good so far. So now what we can do is we can start working on his arms. So luckily his arms are both kind of making the exact same shape. So I'm going to go into my front view, I'm going to zoom in a bit, and we're going to start building that arm. So the arm is going to be built the exact same way. I'm going to go to Polygon Primitives, and I'm going to create a cylinder. I'm going to change that subdivision axis to 8 because that will give us a lot less geometry to work with, and we can always add more geometry to him later if we need. So it's always good to start with a low amount of geometry and then work your way up to a higher amount. So in this case, what I'm actually going to do is, let me focus on his arm a bit, is I'm going to change his subdivision height to about 6. Actually, no, about 4 should work. And I'm going to use that as a basis for his arm. So what that means is I'm going to, let's just say, take these top vertices right here. I might have to select them manually. Let's see. So I'm just going to hold shift and drag some boxes just so I get these all right here. I'm going to try to bring those up to his hand and move them into place as best as I can without going into his fingers. I'm going to do the same with the bottom of his arm, just like that. So I'm just selecting those vertices, bringing them down over here. I'm going to rotate it, and I'm just going to roughly put it where it needs to go. For the rest of these, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to go to edge mode. I'm just going to double click, and that should let me move them and rotate them as I need. So I'm using the move tool, and I can rotate them as I need to fit them to his arm. So let me rotate this a little bit better. And I'm just kind of trying my best to evenly space them out. That should give me just a nice amount of geometry's edge flow. So I'm just going, spacing them out as evenly as I can. Doesn't matter if it's perfect, but that should work. And we're in good shape right there. So the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to get his little fingers. And his fingers are a little bit more difficult to work with because we are kind of going into a weird spot. So I might actually make those out of a separate object. We'll see. Let's see. We could kind of do it that way. That might work. So for his fingers, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to deviate a little bit from the actual shape of his hand. So what I'll do is I'm going to go and take all these faces right here, I'm going to create another extrusion. So just like that. I'm going to bring him out over here to where his fingers are coming out. And then for his actual fingers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 of these faces. So I'm just picking these back ones right here. And I'm going to do an extrusion. I'm going to turn key faces together off. And I'm going to bring these guys up and scale them inwards toward themselves. And this way I have at least somewhat of a hand shape, and we can adjust that as we need. Normally you'd probably use something like cubes for this area, but for a pinch like this, this should work. So now I've got his 3 fingers, and now we can start prepping him. So let's just go zoom in on this, move you over there. And now we can start adjusting the side view for it. So for a side view, it's going to be pretty much the same process as we just did with the leg. I'm just going to select an edge, use the move tool, kind of bring it to the right spot. I'm going to move actually I'm going to just rotate all this at once. So I'm just going to go object mode, rotate it this way. So just like that. I'll move him back a bit. That looks pretty good. And for the pictures, don't seem to be perfectly on par with each other, but that's going to be okay. So we've got his little fingers. I might take these vertices right here and scale them a bit. Just kind of get them a little closer together. We could go in and adjust these as we want, but this should be fine, honestly. And now we've got his arms, well, one of his arms and his leg. So in the next video, I'll show how to attach the the arm and the leg, and then we're going to work on his other little details. All right, see you in the next one.